Alrighty guys, welcome to Cloud Kingdom in the very far bottom left corner. Acer currently down 0-1. It's going to be Scarlett, your purple Zerg player. Very far top right corner, it's going to be LucifroN, your orange Terran player, currently up 1-0. Awesome dominating play in game number 1.
All right. Yeah, it really was. We talked about it during the break, but that was a dominant performance.
Yeah.
LucifroN was ahead from beginning to end. He perfectly disrupted when Scarlett was most vulnerable, whether it was with 4 Hellions in the beginning, whether it was the Banshee follow-up afterwards. Even though Scarlett was preparing herself with Spore Crawlers inside of her main, didn't matter, didn't have the detection and anti-air necessary around that, and LucifroN was able to punish her right from the very beginning.
Well, once you see Scarlett be a little bit more aggressive with the queens this time, I like having the 8-queen opening on this map. Again, a little Sierra-esque style. It really allows for you to deal with the Banshees and deal with the Hellion style that could come from LucifroN. So it's pretty nice actually as well, because you get the third, you get the creep tumors moving very quickly. You grab creep tumors in the middle of the map very quick as well, and it allows you to play a little bit on the greeter side, which Scarlett's been wanting to play with. You see her not really getting too many lings on the field, even to like the mid-late game. So we'll see if that's a plan here for Scarlett.
And it was cool, too, because LucifroN, even though he wasn't playing pure mech, he was obviously playing biomech.
Yeah.
Lots of Marines in his composition. Actually, relatively low number of siege tanks, just very effective ones, large mass quantities of Marines. He was not playing them in a very bio way, though. It was almost a mech-like approach. He wasn't doing a lot of drops. He wasn't trying to circumvent his opponent's army. It was just revolved around good positioning and making sure that he had good awareness of the map.
Yeah, it's whenever you're playing that type of style as well, it's really important for the Zerg player to have a good number of lings out so they can do flanks as well as get nice rounds. But Scarlett just skimming as much as possible, trying to hold pushes with just a small amount of lings, and you just can't do that against a player like LucifroN, who, as you mentioned, had an amazing play in terms of micro when it came to the situations with his Marines. So a little bit more focus firing as well. We saw a couple of siege tanks that kept making through engagements on very low HP, which again just adds to the firepower of LucifroN after you hold a push.
That's right. And LucifroN not really reinventing the wheel here either. Looks like one rack expand. And we'll see if he ends up going for that double gas follow-up once again here, as he knows that Scarlett has been putting on a lot of early pressure, and despite the fact that you mentioned before that it was greedy, and it was, he's able to pull it off.
All right, so I'm curious as to what LucifroN will follow up into. I mean, Banshee kind of works on this map, but as mentioned, the main and third is very close together, so it's actually kind of easier for Scarlett to hold if she goes for a number of queens. So I actually kind of don't expect that play from him on this map. He's going to go ahead and follow up into his gas air, so he'll be able to start taking up and do whatever he wants to go for. But at the same time, I wonder what Scarlett's going to get in terms of a third. You can get a quick third around like 3:30, 4 o'clock against Terran if you see they went for an expansion. Unfortunately, we don't have Scarlett seeing that quite yet because she's relying on her Overlord to scout. Oh, she does see it, so could go for a quicker third if she would like to.
Yeah, but for now, just kind of going down the same strategy we've seen. I mean, she's always been very good with scouting. She's had a good idea of what her opponents have been up to over the course of the series, of course of the tournament, I guess I should say. But even with that knowledge, she hasn't really deviated what she's been doing. It's been this pretty standard 4-queen, 6-minute hatchery, double gas, go up to layer tech fairly early on, play defensive, and just really get your way up to Broodlords and Infestors very quickly.
All right, so the double queens that have popped out, there are 3 and 4 on the way, so again, that is going to delay that third from happening. If you do want to go for a quick third, guys, if you want to do it, you can just get 1 queen out, and then go ahead and move to the third. That way you save on those minerals there, and then drone up pretty heavily, and then follow up into your queens afterwards. But with the play here for Scarlett, she just can't afford a third quite yet. So a couple Marines now on the way for LucifroN. I like them putting a little bit of aggression on it. Slows down Scarlett a little bit in terms of droning up very heavily. Makes her make a few lings at least. Even with her queens, it's still nice to have lings there to get in there and buffer damage and allow the queens to do the actual damage.
All right, well, LucifroN gathering in the middle of the map with that 4-Marine attack once again. Not really doing anything all that different. Oh, and he's going to get another Overlord for his efforts. Yes, the Queens are going to come out to defend, but that, once again, is a big blow. 100 minerals lost there for Scarlett and being supply blocked for no loss from LucifroN.
Yeah, and it forces her because she can't really afford to put her minerals anywhere here. She has to put out 3 Overlords, which is kind of, you don't want to do that truly as a Zerg player. And again, still slowing her down for a good 20 seconds here. Look at this. She's at 500 minerals already, and she can't expand either because he brought his Marines down there to catch any drone that went that way. So just delaying Scarlett ever so slightly there by catching that Overlord.
And looks like this drone is going to get picked up again, and that's another 20 or 30 second delay on this hatchery. So usually she has it about a quarter of the way finished by now, but unfortunately LucifroN's put a stop to that, all the while going back up to that Cloaked Banshee build himself.
There we go. So if it's not broke, don't fix it, man. So it looks like he's going to go ahead and still do some damage here to some lings. Get the Queen's way overextended here. Luckily for Scarlett, she's already got the Creep Tumors movement, so she'll be able to move pretty easily between her third and her natural. And I would actually have a Creep Tumor in her main on the right side. That way she can deal with any Banshee play that does come. Unfortunately, she's unaware of what her opponent's going for. Hellions sneaking in a little bit earlier than last time. Only 2 Hellions, and they're getting a lot of damage on, actually. The drones are lining up, and unfortunately, last time she actually saved these pretty well, but she's losing more drones than last time.
Yeah, she is. Total drones lost 5 at the moment. Looks like the Hellions are finally dealt with. Those Marines getting ready to poke back in at the 4th and draw some units away, potentially for more Hellions and a couple of Banshees to make their way in just a minute. And LucifroN already showing us that he's not going to go down that pure mech build once again. Already has 2 engineering bays on the way to start committing to upgrades.
Well, this time he's also got the Marines still down in the bottom right corner. These are going to pull the Lings out of position so the Hellions can actually dart into the natural, and there they go, actually, on the mini-map. You can see them starting to move their way on in. And actually, it looks like they're going to kill without the Creep Tumors. There we go, finally making it in. Will they get any more drones killed off? And it actually might look like it. 3 Queens are going to be able to block it off, but the Lings were chasing the Marines, so there was a small opportunity there for LucifroN to dart in. With that finally being done here, it looks like we have Stimpak already on the way for LucifroN, getting out very quick here.
Yeah, and that third base finishing up, as you said. Layer tech on the way for Scarlett as well. So she's moving down the same strategy, same as it ever was, just hopefully with a little bit better defense of the Banshees this time. Of course, that was what really turned things around. It was about 24, 25 workers killed between the 2 Banshees with that initial push. So workers killed as it sits now, 5.
Notice this time we actually don't have Cloak here for LucifroN. He's instead electing to go ahead and get tech out way quicker compared to last game. He wants to throw Scarlett off with a push across the middle of the map around about 10 minutes, 10:30 as he starts heading out. So watch out for that aggression. Could really throw off Scarlett, especially with his Banshee now about to pop into the main. She will see that there is no Cloak available, so it would give her a heads up. Okay, I need to be a little bit on the careful side because he will have +1 Stimpak a little bit quicker, but it's still something that could really throw her off.
And the Spore Crawler's in pretty good position now. Actually, at all 3 bases, there are 3 Spore Crawlers up in total. You mentioned being able to defend between the natural and the main. Well, she's already got, or I'm sorry, the third of the main. She's already got her Queens in position to defend this when the Banshee comes back.
It looks like we're just going to have LucifroN move up very quickly in the upgrades as well. He's got an armory actually on the way, so he'll get to +2 very quickly as well. And he's also falling up into a lot of reactors. And actually, can we check in the main, see what those reactors are at? If they're on the racks here, yeah, he's just going to pump out Marine after Marine after Marine. This could be a very strong 3-base push. It depends on how many units he wants to get out. Can we check into the SCVs real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. There you go.
Okay, so going at 54, so if he actually goes up to about 63, he can just constantly produce units off of all these structures and just move across the middle of the map. It's essentially just a 3-base reoccurring push, which could be very, very strong, especially if he gets siege mode, which I'm not sure if he actually grabbed it quite yet, but still the +1/1 is about to finish up with Stimpak.
Yeah, he already has it done, actually.
Okay, so he's going to be really, really strong here. He can set up outside of that 4th base. It's actually already on the way here for Scarlett. He looks very powerful now.
Yeah, I mean, this especially hits at a good time, too, because Scarlett is pretty much playing the same strategy all day. We see 2-2 on the way. We see Pathogen Glance, but she's investing in her tech. She doesn't have a whole lot out in terms of army. In fact, we have 9 Zerglings. That's it. And so if LucifroN decides to make a push now, it's going to be before, those Infestors are able to pop out. Zerglings aren't going to do too much against the front line of forces. But for now, LucifroN is content to sit back and just gather up everything he's got back at home, invest in his infrastructure, because that creep spread, it's starting to run wild.
And the Queens are constantly keeping up with it, too. Even bringing an Overseer around to scout in front as well, so the Queens don't get picked off. 6 Marines at a time, now 9 at a time being popped out here for LucifroN. Really starting to hammer up, power up, and he's also preventing himself from having run-bys happening. He's got a bunker at a third, got supply depots there as well. The only vulnerable spot is that top left flank that he could probably cover with a supply depot if you want to do it, but here we go. Looks like a medevac's going to head down to that natural on the bottom left. He's got Hellions in the bottom right as well, and he's going to try and find a point where Scarlett is really weak in defense.
All right, well, LucifroN's starting to poke away these Queens, and of course that's just buying time for all these units to make their way over to the left. We'll see if this just gets a scan. It does. And a few more creep tumors are going to disappear.
A couple of them are going to be popping off. Those Queens down the bottom right, though, is able to keep it up, and it looks like it's going to pop in. Snipes the Overseer here, and with the scan, we'll get the creep tumors. Is he going to get the Overseer as well? Does not look like it. A Fungal does hit these Hellions, which will allow Scarlett to kill them off very quickly, but at the same time, look at the push down the bottom left, heading straight to the natural. Does Scarlett see it? Yes, she does. Ling's on the way already.
All right, so that's going to help, and then it's going to force a lift here with the rest of these Marines. LucifroN, of course, going to show that he's moving in here, but won't do too much else. He's just trying to draw more units out of the way, of course, because he has another such drop over on the right-hand side.
Oh, fourth command center on the way. 2-2 about to finish up for LucifroN at the same time. But Scarlett's doing a really good job this time of not taking too much damage. She's decided to go ahead and get more Lings out on the field, really trying to prevent these medevacs from popping out any damage. And it's allowed her to move up to this hive tech and Aspire very efficiently. After the first initial drones being killed off, which was like 9 overall, she's been able to hold off everything very nicely here. She's respecting LucifroN's pushes.
Oh, these Marines are so low, too. They're not going to be able to stand in there and do all that much. And actually, they all get killed, but off to the right-hand side, LucifroN's getting most of his forces in position now to try and do some damage. No fungal growths remaining on these infestors, so there is a potential for LucifroN to try and pursue a bit. A lot of banelings are morphing in, but of course, Scarlett's going to want those done very quickly.
Yeah, LucifroN's been doing a good job of forcing Scarlett to land fungals on Hellions and a small batch of Marines, which makes it very hard for her to have any energy for this push that is happening. And Scarlett's actually elected to have more banelings in the field here, too, so she wants to have a really strong ground army, so very low on the infestors, which allows LucifroN to do that push right there, kill off that fourth.
Oh, and unfortunately, there was actually a cloaked infestor that was running up. Never mind that, I'll talk about that in a second, as these siege tanks now are, well, under siege, I should say, and the banelings, Zerglings have gotten a great surround. LucifroN's entire force is cleaned up. He starts backing out of it, at least to more prepared tank positions, but losing these tanks, 6 of them, as a matter of fact, has really limited his capability to push here. I was going to say it was unfortunate, though, because Scarlett actually had a small group of forces that were moving up, and a burrowed infestor was part of that, but it ended up getting killed by splash damage from the tanks while it was burrowed.
Good engagement there from Scarlett, healing up that whole entire army, but remember, LucifroN's at a 4-base economy with a number of SCVs. He's able to really start popping out another force as well. He's already moving into plus 3-3 upgrade, staying on par here with Scarlett, as well as she's getting 3-3 and Adrenaline Glands, also getting our Great Aspire finally set it up as well. Will we have a Viking transition for LucifroN very soon? We should be having some starports thrown up very quickly. Would like him to actually get a scan on the main. That'd be really nice here, as he's actually getting a 7th and 8th gas.
All right, well, here comes LucifroN now as he's starting to push down the side that has a little bit less creep, but of course that's not a lot of places anymore, as you can see how ridiculous the creep spread is, as Scarlett has it going all the way up into the natural. She has one all the way off here to the left, taking over this 5th base eventually. She's going to deny 2 bases here in just a moment with pure creep spread.
This is ridiculous, man. Scarlett has this map actually mapped out in terms of where she puts her creep tumors to be the most efficient. Seriously, it's awe-inspiring, actually. I wish I could do this. Unfortunately, I just don't have enough APM, but Scarlett doing it very nicely here. And Great Aspire now finally finishes up. Should be having Corruptors on the field. She's got a nice amount of leans and hold a majority of pushes that does come her way, especially with these infestors being here, too. So there we go. 4 Broodlords have been queued up.
That's right, and looks like the 4 Vikings at a time join the 3 that are already on the field. Don't think any upgrades have been researched for those quite yet, but that's not too important right now. We'll want to start that as we go along, though. All
right, LucifroN making his way across the middle of the map, but he is on creep, which makes engagements way easier here for Scarlett. She has a decent amount of banelings as well, a nice little force available in the bottom left, and she has a number of infestors at the same time. Finally, the Broodlords do finish up, and LucifroN is going to see this.
Yeah, where are those Vikings at? I'm not actually sure. Yeah, they're going to have to join this army very soon, as one tank's about to get picked off. Here come the rest of the forces. All she wanted was the unsiege, and she got it. The Zerglings are able to surround most of the forces. Fungal's pinning down everything that tries to run away. That allows the Broodlords to move up and kill yet more that was sitting on the ground, and LucifroN just basically lost his entire army.
He's making a force down in the natural, actually in the bottom left, to actually move their way straight into this natural and try and get a lot of damage. And actually these Marines with 3-3 very soon can do a hefty amount of damage, but the Lings are already here quick enough for Scarlett to deal with them, but the Vikings are catching the Broodlords off guard.
Yeah, nice job there, too, as not too much energy left on the remaining infestors, and the Corruptors are not going to be enough. Maybe they'll be able to delay for a little while, but this is still a good little follow-up from LucifroN, of course, and it's small consolation in light of the units that he lost in the middle of the map.
Well, LucifroN killed off some infestors as well, so that was the ability there to allow him to use the Vikings. Oh, infestors do pop out, and we'll deal with them. There were Marines in the middle of the field as well, but Scarlett surrounds them all at the same time, using that creep spread to scout them out immediately there, and with all these fungals, those Vikings will implode.
Oh boy, wow. Okay, so a good catch there from Scarlett, and she just kind of reverses all the damage that was just done. Still a huge Ling count here, not able to assault the planetary fortress off to the left-hand side, of course. LucifroN would be able to make a very hardy stand there, but as it stands, he's got to expend all of his scans just to be able to clean up the creep that was sitting around his 5th and 6th bases.
He's trying to keep aggression up so he can keep the infestor energy low and get damage in at those points, but he just has such a small force compared to Scarlett, especially with her getting a 5th base down in the bottom right corner. Would like for her to start expanding to the top left, but for now, she's able to constantly keep producing Lings. They have the 3-3, they have the Adrenaline Glands. If the fungal hits, those Lings will tear through these Marines, literally just throw limbs left and right. They're just that strong. And here comes a huge engagement. Lings in the bottom right, siege takes a little siege a little bit too late with the infestors Broodlords coming in, Fungals landing at the same time, and Scarlett is going to crush this.
Oh, yeah. Not only were they sieged up a little bit too late, but they were a little bit too far forward, too. Nothing could actually absorb damage from them, and they were just killed immediately. So they got almost no shots off. You could see how many links were left over. Usually in a big engagement like that, you're like, oh, okay, well, I kept my Infestors alive, my critical units alive, I lost all my Zerglings, but that's fine. No, she even has Zerglings left over, too, and that's what's allowing her to get a little bit aggressive.
And LucifroN's trying his best to keep up with macro here. You can see his minerals here very, very low, actually very heavy on the gas side as he's constantly trying to produce Marines, get Siege Tanks out. Unfortunately, just Siege Tank Marine, it doesn't scale very well against Broodlord. You just don't trade as efficiently. And we're really seeing this here, especially with the lanes getting nice surrounds off as well. Just Scarlett just literally just handling LucifroN very well. He's trying to get this base down in the bottom right corner, but at this point, Scarlett can just go ahead and prevent that from happening.
All right, it looks like she is going to effectively deny the space off to the right-hand side. A small little task force of Bioforces was meant to come in and pick off a couple of Infestors while she was worried about the command center, but it didn't work. Great multitasking there, and Scarlett dispatches of the units off to the left-hand side.
LucifroN's trying to get aggressive plays down in the bottom left corner of the map, but with the creep spread, you can see Scarlett automatically responding to that with links heading over there as well, and she's still keeping that command center on the right side, preventing it from allowing it to land as well. At this point, she can just kind of starve out LucifroN, just constantly keep trading in engagements as she keeps expanding towards the middle of the map. If she can get rid of these Marines in the top left corner, she can grab that base in the 9 o'clock pretty darn easily.
Both players are maxed out once again, but you see just the sheer economy of Scarlett at the moment, as you were referring to earlier. She's going to be able to reproduce a very high-tech army very quickly. It doesn't have that many Broodlords out on the map. Yeah, actually just 2 for now with 11 Corruptors. I assume a few of those would eventually get switched over if we had a little bit of resources freed up in the form of Zerglings getting killed.
Well, drops are constantly happening, but Scarlett's just catching him. Her map awareness is just stellar here because of the creep spread. She even got it to the point where it was at the front door of the third base of LucifroN. He finally just cleared it up, but that's how far the creep spread got before LucifroN's been able to slow it down. It's just moving too darn quickly, and she keeps reinforcing it as well with Queens. And finally, all the drops have been cleaned up. So now she'll be able to get to another hatchery if she would like. Moving into +1 Carapace for the Flyers as well, so her Broodlords can tank a little bit more. Nice fungal here on all the Vikings. Corruptor's going to deal with those. Engagement on the right side. All the Marines are dealt with, and it's just Siege Tanks left now.
Yeah, I mean, that was a fantastic engagement once again from Scarlett, pinning down all those forces off to the left-hand side with that fungal growth. Allowed the Corruptors to just get a perfect engagement, and all you need is 1 or 2 Broodlords to be able to force back a Siege Tank line, and that's certainly what's happened here.
And there's only a couple of them, but it looks like LucifroN barely makes his way on through, but the Infestors will slow down that push from happening while we have 40 more lanes already on the way for Scarlett. Finally grabbing that hatchery in the top left corner, so she'll be able to transfer some drones over there as well, so she can keep up the link production at the same time. And LucifroN wants to grab this base so badly, but it's covered in creeps, so that's even slowing it down even longer as well. More Broodlords are morphing in. Scarlett is just getting to that late game composition that she has. Just tons of Corruptors, tons of Broodlords, and a small amount of lanes on the field, and it can literally take on any army if you land a great fungal.
And LucifroN hasn't been able to switch in tech. We haven't seen any Ghosts being produced simply because he can't invest in it right now. Only now is he getting +1 weapons for his air forces, but the problem is +1 Carapace is about to finish up for Flyers here for Scarlett. A little bit of an attack down here at the bottom right, but it looks like it's repelled immediately. The Spine Crawlers were doing enough damage there to be able to delay those forces.
Even if those drops do get down again, there's the Spine Crawlers there's so many of them. Scarlett can afford to just throw them down. She has the extra resources to keep landing. Look at that, 1,700 right now in terms of minerals and gas. And now with the Broodlords moving forward, the Vikings are going to try and deal with them. The +1 Carapace will allow her to take a nice amount of damage. The Infestor to land the Fungals. Lings are making their way on in as well. It's Vikings going down. Yes, there's all immediately killed off here. And the small force of LucifroN is just going to be crushed behind the weight of these Broodlords.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, LucifroN's economy was sitting on 4 base the entire time. GG's. Yep. He's outworked, tied up 1-1. And that's what allowed him to stay in that game for so long, but unfortunately wasn't enough to really turn the tide there. But, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to another game 3.
Scarlett's creep spread was too good, man. Every time she had an engagement, she's able to dart in with her lings and her banelings and just land perfect engagements, always catching when her opponent was unsieging, also forcing him to kind of stay there as well, sieged up for things to dart in because of the Broodlords being in there. It's just so hard to engage as a Terran player with Siege Tanks Marines, and it's hard to disengage as well because you're just kind of stuck there because of your Siege Tanks, and Scarlett took a full advantage of it.
All right, guys, well, that's game number 2. We're going to move to game number 3 after a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll see who advances as the winner of the winner's bracket into the grand finals after this.